Hello everyone, this is me, the Undead Viking, and this is Bazaar. Now this is a two-player game. Now technically it is a game that you could play like two people on a team or you know, but ultimately it's a one team or one person versus one team, one person type of game. There is this crazy, fantastic bazaar full of bizarre things. Now, I want to say that Bazaar or something along those lines was like a Robert Asprin Myth Adventures book, or was part of the Myth Adventures series or something. It just seems like something out of that, but it doesn't matter. This has nothing to do with that. This is a game where you have this crazy bazaar where you will set up different vendors, and then even crazier shoppers will come, and you're trying to match up, not like what the shoppers want to buy so much as match up what the shoppers are willing to spend with the vendors that are willing to take that money. There are like 5 different types of resources that you collect, and you're wealthy you have to skillfully manage those 5 different resources and set yourself up to gain as much as you possibly can, so you can do better than your opponent. But you share the same shoppers, the same customers, and you'll be moving around and adjusting them, and you'll have vendors that hopefully you can move around a little bit as well. And the bazaar will like change as the game progresses, and as soon as one person wins 5 days of at the bazaar, which meaning like you score the most points after each day, first person to win, do that 5 times before their opponent will win the game. I'm going to show you how the game is played. I will come back here and I'll give you my final thoughts. Alright, let's just start by saying I love the art that Bazaar has. The other night I was playing this with my buddy Cullen, and he mentioned to me that it reminded him of artwork from like old Parker Brothers board games from like the 80s and maybe even the early 90s. And I had to agree. I mean, after I thought about it for a while, I went online, I checked, and it definitely does feel stylized in that way. Now, I don't know if the designer was going for a retro look or what have you, but it definitely does just kind of give me that kind of reminiscence, if you will, back in the time. But anyway, regardless, this is not a Parker Brothers game or a Milton Bradley game published in the 80s or the 90s. This is definitely like a 1v1 2-player Euro game that you're going to be handling different types of currencies, trying to make sure that you get customers to your vendors, and maybe co-opting your opponent's attempts at doing the exact same thing. Alright, just to show you, there's 2 sides of the board, this side and that side. And then these spots are the different booths in the Bazaar that you'll be taking. You only get to put vendors on your side, so you'll put them on this side, your opponent puts them on this side, or vice versa, or what have you. To begin the game, you have 4 different like customers that are within the Bazaar, shoppers, if you will, and you are going to be trying to get them to spots where you will have vendors selling them the things that they want. Now, for example, you get a starting vendor here and here. Both players get that, so you automatically are going to be able to earn something at the very beginning, as long as you can get a customer or a shopper that has, where these arrows are, that means that they're going to shop from those booths. Now, they have unlimited amounts of cash as long as you are giving them the right type of good. They will buy it from you. The shop, I'll just grab this this shopper right here. So you can see up here in the top, there are these several different types of money that they have, basically. So, and one of the cool things, or I mean, like, haha, snicker, funny things about the game is there are 5 different types of money or resource, and they're all a slang for dollar bills. So you have dead presidents, you have lettuce, you have bucks, you have cheddar, and you have bread. So in those 5 distinct colors. And then you can see the same, this is the type of money that they have, and you have to get a vendor that accepts that type of money, and then they will purchase those things. There's no real items being traded back and forth. It's all kind of abstract in that matter, but just so you know, that's how you're going to be getting the vast majority of your points, by earning money off of the shoppers. You do get points for putting assistants into place, and those are these different cards that you can collect over here, and I'll talk about those here in just a little bit. And also for opening up booths, you get points for those as well. To begin the game, you get to pick any 5 resources you want at the very beginning. I'm just going to grab one of each, just for simplicity's sake, just so I can have one of each. And then you place them down here in your wallet. Now, my opponent would do the same. I'm not going to do that for them. Then you each will get a free vendor. And normally vendors are going to cost you 5 resources, 5 of any resource. Sometimes when you buy things, it can be of any resource, such as when you buy a vendor or when you buy a booth. But when you buy Bazaar cards, which are these cards that kind of break the rules, those are completely different. You'll notice that there are these different icons listed right there and there and there that match up with the 5 different types of resources. And then each one of these Bazaar cards has a number. I'll just grab this one just so you can see. It has a number up here, and this one has a 4, so that would cost 4. In this case, it would be bucks. Now, if you ever played a game with like a sliding market, what's going to happen is people purchase these things, cards will slide down, you'll pull another card and put it down. At the end of a round, you will slide this one up here and then slide all of them down and add another card in there. So here we got my vendor. This vendor, and the vendors do have like humorous artwork, which is cool. It has what this guy's name is, Awardio, because everyone is special, right? But the big thing about him is he accepts lettuce. That's the type of currency that he'll take. And so looking out here, we can see that we have this shopper who currently has 1 lettuce to give out, but this shopper over here has 2 lettuce they can give out. So if I can, maybe I want to try to get this guy into that booth and make sure that shopper stays exactly right there. So now how does the turn work? Well, starting with the person who gets the first player marker, you determine that however you're going to want. One person will take an action, then the other person takes an action. The other person takes action back and forth until all of you have taken 5 actions. After the 5 actions are taken, you will total up you'll hand out money and total up your points plus the money that you earned that particular round, and then whoever got the most will win the day. If you win the day, you go ahead and place one of these 1-day markers into days 1. The game ends when one player wins 5 days. You can have a tie. In the case of a tie, both players get a day 1 token. So, it isn't one of those. There isn't really a tiebreaker for that situation. All right, so what are the actions you can take? Well, thankfully, and I mentioned this in a lot of my videos, I love, there's 2 of these cards in the game that basically tell you all of your play options, and also goes through how many points things are worth and things like that. So it definitely is, I like this, so one person doesn't have to dig out the rule book if they're looking for something in specific. But it's always good to have a player aid. I love player aids in games. So any publishers out there, player aids. I love them. All right, so all of the actions fall under there's 4 different categories. Purchases, shoppers, cards, and pass. Now, pass is the easiest one. At any given time, you can just flip over one of these tokens and just say, I'm passing, and then you get 3 resources of any type you want. You can just collect them from the bank. Now, the other ones are purchases. Booth. What you do when you purchase a booth is you look at the number here, like 1, 3, 2, 2, whatever. So that 1 down there, let's say I'm going to purchase that. You're going to grab one of these tokens that say bought on it, and you're going to place that in that spot right there. It's saying that I spent 1 resource. So let's just say you spent this bread. You spent that bread, you bought that, and now you purchased that booth. You don't have a vendor in there, but you purchased that booth. Now, you can spend 5 resources. I don't have 5 resources right now, but if you had 5 resources, you can spend any 5 resources you want, and you can draw 3 vendor cards. 1, 2, 3. You're going to draw 3. You're going to pick whichever one you want. You're going to decide, like, this one's for bucks, this one's for dead presidents, this one's for cheddar. Let's keep the cheddar guy. We're going to keep him. Then you take the other 2 that you don't pick, and you place them at the bottom of the deck, like so. And now you have 2 vendors in your hand. Technically, I wouldn't have been able to do that because I didn't have 5 resources, but you get the point. I'm just trying to tell you all the different actions you can do. So now Bazaar cards. So Bazaar cards, as I said, are these are buy. You can either buy these and put them into your hand, and there is no card limit for the number of cards in your hand. You can have 1,000 cards in your hand, not that there's 1,000 cards in the game, but you can have as many as you want. When you buy a card, like say you want to buy this one, this is Lights, Camera, Action. It's an action card. Draw 2 Bazaar cards, place them in your hand. When you buy one of these cards, you can immediately play it the same turn you buy it, or you can hold on to it in your hand and use an action later to use it. So if you bought this one for $4, because it's in the buck situation, you would get to draw 2 of those cards. If you buy this, as I said, and then like played it immediately, you would put it in the discard there. Then you would slide all of these down like so, and you put a new one into that location. Now, a couple of things about that is that I've noticed that like you can, because it didn't specifically say so in the rules, but my understanding is since your money is in the wallet, it's open information. You can definitely look and see what kind of money the other player has, and maybe if you think they're going for a card, you can mess things up a little bit by changing the currency on them because everything slides down. Something to think about. One of the strategies definitely I use in the game. All right, so shoppers. So we have 4 shoppers out there. There are Bazaar cards that will play some more shoppers out into the spot. So you can choose to freeze a shopper. As an action, if you choose to freeze, you just place one of these freeze tokens on there. That means that unless you have a card that tells you differently, that shopper cannot move. They are stuck in that location. They are not going to be put anywhere else. You can move and freeze, which means you just take one of these cards, you slide it to a different spot, and as soon as you're done moving that, you place it like that. One interesting thing to note, that if you have like a card to the side, you can still move it. You're just going to skip over to the other side like that when you do a move and freeze action. So you don't get blocked up with other customers. You can't use them to block other people out. Then you can, and it's just one space that you can move, again, unless you have a card that tells you something different. And then you can replace and freeze. So the deck of cards that show the different shoppers, they are, you can see what the next shopper is. You can take the action to replace and freeze, which you take the shopper that's off the board, you take the top shopper, like so, that's on the card and revealing the next one so they can do it, and then you can place this shopper in any space you want. So if you're that side, maybe you're going to place this one here because your vendor is ready and waiting to accept the money in that spot. And you place that, and then again, you would place a freeze token like so. And that's how you do the shoppers. Cards. As an action, you can just play a card that you have in your hand. Like if I had held onto this, I could just play that to collect 2 Bazaar cards from the deck. And other cards, and I'll go over some of the other cards here in just a little bit, but other cards will be actions you can do. Also, you can place a vendor. And placing vendor is kind of a big deal. So if you place, remember I had this vendor, and I wanted him to place there. So I bought that spot. I can place it in that location, take the bot token, return that over here. And then, because I placed a vendor, I can go ahead and take a 5-point token and put it in my today's earnings. Because I placed a vendor, you're going to get 5 points for doing that. So that's the actions. That's all the thing. Now, there's a lot more to it than that, because obviously you're trying to get customers to spots where you want them to be, where you're going to earn the most money and get them and collect the most coins from everybody. So at the end of the round, after all 5 actions are done, you're going to collect your cash. So in this case, I collect cheddar or a lettuce, and this one has 2 lettuce. So I would collect 2 lettuce, and I would place that like so. Pretty easy. This player has this one, which is 2 lettuce and 2 dead presidents, which are for, he has that one, and the free vendors are the ones, they collect all of them, so it's pretty cool. So you can take so he's going to get 2 and lettuce and dead presidents. I almost grabbed the cheddar by accident, and then we're going to place those over there. Then you're going to total up the total number of points. He got 4 from that, but I have this 5-point, and I'd have these 2.7, and then I'd go ahead and place, because I won day 1. I'd place that, and then we'd start off, we'd remove all the frozen tokens. We would take this card, put it in the discard pile, slide all of these down like so, and take another card and put it into play, like that. Now some cards, since I want to talk about these cards, I'll just notice, some cards like have instant play up here, meaning that you can't place them into your hand. So if you buy a card like that, you have to use it immediately. Some cards will be attack cards, which you can see has this red attack on the side. Like this one says, discard a played vendor and his assistant, vacated booth remains bought. So you can just go ahead and remove a person's vendor. There are cards that will defend you against certain attack strategies, so there are definitely ways that you can mess with people. They mentioned assistants. I'm going to try to dig through here and find one. Assistants are neat because of the fact that they allow the players to like add an assistant to an existing vendor and then basically increase the number of things that particular place will buy. So here is an assistant card. You can see it says assistant up there, and you can notice that it costs 5, wherever it happens to be on this spot, it'll cost 5 of those, and it has a cheddar symbol. So it says here that if you place on top of any vendor, you get 3 points, or if you place on top of Don's Dime Store, which is a specific vendor that you can get out of the vendor deck, and if you can place that on a spot where you already have a vendor, and now, like, look how good this one would be for that particular card. I now collect both lettuce and cheddar if I have that assistant in that location. So, as you can see, assistants are very powerful. Now, you'll notice that there are a lot of cards, and here is the deck of cards that are the normal cards. And then there are a lot of these cards that have this E on them right there. Now, these are like the expert play cards that come with the game. I strongly suggest playing with those. Play it with this if you are definitely like the first time you play, or if you're playing with like younger kids or things like that maybe won't grasp a lot of the more complex cards and complex strategies. These have a lot more to do with messing with the other players and the other player that you're facing, and trying to stop them from doing things, or and also like things that will like collect money from shoppers even without a vendor and things like that. They have these cards that are called salesmen. Here, I'll find one here and I'll show that to you. Oh, but there's also like cards like Mindbender, Lure. You get to basically take somebody else's vendor and their assistant if they have it. And you know, so a lot of these have attack cards on them. They also have cards like these defender cards that will allow you to defend yourself against certain attacks. There are also like here is like Downsizer. Discard a played assistant. Discard a played assistant. Rival must have 3 or greater played vendors. So it kind of you can get rid of an assistant that somebody has if you think it's too powerful. And but once again, they have to have 3 or more vendors in place. So if they don't have a lot, you know, they can definitely like it won't. You can't hammer on somebody unless they've gotten a little further. So like here's like Salesman. It says like collect all shoppers' dead presidents, you know, and then place in today's earnings. So like without even having vendors, if you played that card, you would there would be 2 dead presidents here. There'd be 2 dead presidents there. You get 4 dead presidents without actually having to like have vendors purchase them from. So there's a lot of timing as far as the Bazaar cards are played, but also you have to just, since you're only getting 5 actions around, you definitely have to mitigate your efficiency of those actions to put yourself in the best possible place to earn the most money. Now, this is definitely like a resource engine building game. As you start building up your vendors and as you start putting customers and shoppers out there that you want, you will find yourself earning more money as the game goes on, and then you'll have to plan accordingly, and then like purchasing some of the like more expensive cards will definitely open up a lot of strategies and things as well. This is an excellent 2-player game. I've been playing a lot of 2-player games lately just because my #1 person to play games with is my daughter, and we've enjoyed these immensely. This one is right up there as far as the complexity, the time, and just like the presentation. We really love it. But let me talk about that and more in my final thoughts. Alright, so there we go. That is the Bazaar. So, there's lots of things I really like about this game. I mean, first of all, 2-player games, as I said, have been kind of having a renaissance over the last year or so, mostly because of the fact that my daughter is my #1 gaming partner, and that's like role-playing games, board games, video games. It's like she's the #1 person that I play all those with. So she's fast approaching her teens. She's going to be 13 here this coming summer. And it's been fun watching her kind of expand her horizons, like watching her go to conventions and like sitting down and playing big meaty games with people she doesn't know and just having fun doing that. And she really likes playing 2-player games, and she likes playing them with her dad, which is of course awesome. But this is a game that we played and we enjoyed a great deal, as I said. It's a fun mix of crazy art, crazy theme. Theme really works though. I mean, obviously you could this could be like a futuristic robot plant. It could be spaceships buying asteroids. You know, it could be any theme you want. But I really like the art. I really like the idea of this crazy, kooky, amazing, weird bazaar with all this crazy stuff going on. The way the game works is what I like about it kind of transitions. It's got a good build-up. By that I mean, you start off, you have nothing, you've got that one vendor, and you're very, very, very tiny at the beginning. And as it progresses, you get more stuff and you kind of grow, and more things become available to you and become like your little empire, your little vendor empire grows, and it adapts itself to meet the demands of the different shoppers that are out there. I like the head-to-head attitude about it, as far as like the things that I do. Like, you'll be doing a lot of actions where you will move a shopper off of a spot where you would get money from doing that, but it actually is going to take more money away from your opponent, more points away from your opponent. So ultimately, it's like it's a positive sum game type of situation. There is some chaos to it as far as like the new cards that come out, but it isn't too random. It isn't one of those things where like the swinginess of it doesn't ever like make you feel like, oh, I just don't have any control over this. There's an economy of actions that I like as well. You know, as far as like, you have to plan out what your 5 actions are going to be, and you have to kind of guess. You know, it's like, oh, you know, I really want to have that shopper in a certain spot. Can I wait on that though and do something before like somebody freezes that into place or moves that shopper or replaces that shopper? So you have some tough decisions as far as that is concerned as well. It kind of it rides the line perfectly between like, you know, screwiness, like jacking up your neighbor, if you will, and feeling like you have control over what's going on. And like and there are cards and there's things you can have that can mitigate like the screwiness or the take-that-ness of the game. So there's the development that went into this game. I think they did a really, really good job of making sure that nobody ever felt like, oh man, it's just like a bunch of just the whole like the bucket of crabs thing, where it's like you can't ever really get anywhere because you just get dragged back, and then the other person starts getting, and you drag them back, you know, and so on and so forth. It definitely is. Most games, I mean, it comes down to that final day. You both have 4 points, and whoever wins that final day is going to be the one. It's kind of neat to watch your vendor engine grow as the game progresses. So, it lasts like the perfect amount of time, like 45 minutes, 60, not even 60 minutes. I don't think I had a game last an hour than the first time I played it. So, it definitely doesn't overstay its welcome, and you get to have a nice, thinky, economic, fun, puzzly time with your opponent. So there you go. That is the Bazaar. If you have any questions about it, ask away. I'll be happy to answer those as best as I can. As always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video, and until next time, be the most awesome version of you as you possibly can. I will do the same. I guarantee you, the more love you give out to the universe, the more the love the universe is going to give back to you. Until next time.